Oh, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to not another edition of Ramblin' Rorie. I have to put my fingers up really high if I want to get into the frame. But I, something else I was thinking about doing for premium content, which I hopefully you guys will enjoy, is a kind of a semi book club. I think we've tried it before on the forums, but hasn't really caught fire. But hopefully, if we stick to it every month, and I'm really bad about book clubs, I really am. I'm especially horrible about it when I don't have to the pressure of knowing that people expect me to be there in a month having read a book. Um, if you haven't seen Kicking and Screaming, which I mention a lot, one of my favorite movies, the Noah Baumbach post college comedy, they have a pretty good gag on book clubs there, which I am pretty found pretty similar to what I go through where I don't read books. But hopefully, if I commit to saying I'm going to do one of these a month, um, we can find something of commonality, which I don't know if that makes any sense at all. I apologize if I'm talking low and sniffling my nose, but I still feel pretty sick. I'm not pretty sick, but just like congestion and runny nose. 32, and I guess that kind of stuff lasts a little bit longer. When you reach my hoary old age, because sniffles are really annoying, but they're not going away. Anyway, books, and I thought I would start off at least for the first few issues of this books about movies, which I really like. Um, I don't really like, but I do read books about movies every once in a while, and I wanted to share some of my favorites with you. We'll talk about what I want to read for next month in a bit, but first I wanted to show you guys some of the stuff that I have in my library, which I'll grab right now. Ranging from the interesting to the opaque. I broke my keyboard. Can't read that quite well, but film studies by. Oh, I don't even think it says who it's by. God damn it. Warren Buckland. Interesting book. I do enjoy this a lot. It's a pretty good like kind of 200 page kind of overview of terminology used in filmmaking. Um, Different kind of genres, different kind of film history and everything like that. It's a good kind of. It's an unpretentious guide for all those who want to learn and to analyze and evaluate films, and I found that to be pretty interesting. It also had a pretty good breakdown of Mulholland Drive, which helped me a lot when I was doing the script for the video I wrote about Mulholland Drive. So recommended, pretty good. Yeah, 5 here. I have more, but I don't know where they all are. I don't know where the other one went to. Anyways, Making Movies by Sidney Lumet. I Lumet had a weird last 20 years of his career, but he wrote this in 1995. So his best work is probably behind him, but he still had some pretty interesting things to say about the filmmaking process. And he goes through category per category: the director, the script, the style, the actors, the camera. Art direction and clothes, and all this other kind of stuff about making movies, and like the title says, which I found really interesting. It is a lot of anecdotes, a lot of tales from his work on Hollywood movies, but really interesting stuff, which I like. And you don't have to like. Hopefully, you can hear me when I'm putting it in front of my mouth. Probably can't. Um, you don't have to like Lumet's movies if you to enjoy this if you don't mind behind the scenes stuff. It's pretty interesting. So another one I recommend. Oh, here we go. One of the funniest books I've ever read, honestly. Obviously, this is a Mr. Science 33,000 guy, Mike Nelson. I'm a Mike guy. I'm not more than a Joel guy, but he wrote a DVD column apparently for a DVD magazine or something like that for a good long while, and this is basically a collection of that stuff, which is really hilarious, especially if you've seen the movies he's riffing on. But you don't really have to. There's some fucking great, just word use in here. Let me see if I can find the sentence that I really like from the intro. I can only tell you that for me, not writing about Mad movies is not an option. or rather, not writing about bad movies is not an option. I guess what I'm saying is that not failing to not write about bad movies isn't not a lack of being an option. Um, it's one of those kind of jokey writing. It's very much tried to get. That made me laugh so hard when I first read it. It doesn't sound quite as good on when I read it out loud, but he's a really good descriptive writer, and he has really good funny analogies. So I do recommend this quite a bit. I think it's still in print too. Let me see. Let me make sure you can actually buy that before I recommend it too hard. Yes, I believe you can. $10.95 in paperback. Doesn't look like there's a Kindle book, unfortunately, but I highly recommend spending the $11. Last couple ones. Oh my goodness. This is a bigger tome. How to Read a Film by James Monaco. It's multi-editioned. It's about 30 years ago when it first came out, but this is obviously a newer edition, but lost in translation on there. Fourth edition. This is more of a college textbooky kind of work. It's the technology of mechanical and electronic media. So that should give you kind of an idea of how in depth this guy goes. But I haven't even finished this entire thing, but it's pretty fascinating to look through all the different. It's a entire overview of how films are made and what goes into them and basically everything about making films and reading films and knowing how to describe them after you've seen them, which obviously I didn't pick up on when I read it because I'm pretty terrible at writing about movies. Haha, self-deprecation. Last but not least, a book I actually really like when I got it. The movie Business Book by Jason E. Squire, edited by Jason E. Squire. This is another book that has had multiple editions, and unfortunately, this one was a little bit out of date. This came out in 2004, so before Netflix really started streaming a lot, before DVD sales started going to the tank. But it has a lot of really interesting stuff about the entire process of making movies, from the writing of it to the DVD release and everything in between. Overviews of revenue streams, production paperwork, movies for television. That's another thing. Movies for television. They'll probably have to get rid of that one next week next edition, because there's not really a lot of TV movies made anymore. And they got pretty good contributors too. They have Tom Rothman talks about his time as a chairman. Sidney Pollack talks about directing movies. Mel Brooks. I think those are the three of the bigger names. But if you're at all interested in any of the kind of how movies are made, how movies are financed, how they get the money from movies, how profits are distributed between people who contributed to the project in any way, but whether it's being an actor or a producer or a studio head, whatever. It's a lot of dense, not even dense, it's mostly pretty well written. I'm going to look in the camera rather than at myself on the screen. How about that? I like that book quite a bit. I've only spent 8 minutes here, and I feel like I have to talk a little bit more before I talk about whatever else I'm going to talk about. Try to give you a little bit. I think next time we'll probably do a little bit more of a longer thing, but I apologize that I haven't gotten back to PMs or emails lately, because I've been pretty ill, and I'm not gonna lie, I haven't felt great for about the last month. I don't know if it's the weather or not getting enough sleep. Probably not getting enough sleep, because I really don't get enough sleep as I probably should. But I apologize if I haven't gotten back to anything PM wise or email wise or writing my wall. If you have anything that you sent me that you want a response to, please do send it again. Otherwise, I'll try to go back through all that stuff at some point soon and reply to it all. I'm not gonna lie, there's been a little bit of Skyrim in there as well. Only about 10 hours so far. I haven't played a huge amount of Skyrim, but I do enjoy it quite a bit at the moment, and I probably will continue to play it, if that's okay with you. I'll probably play it a bunch over Thanksgiving. I don't think there'll be a lot of time to do that stuff over Thanksgiving, unfortunately. Uh, Not a huge amount else to talk about. I do want to. I'll probably save the bloggy stuff for the next Ramblin' Rory and your questions, obviously, because I haven't made a new post for the question and answer segment of these. It's tired. It's like 3 in the morning. It's 3:11 in the morning. I wish I could flip this around and show you doggy videos and do that for a bit, but that'd be kind of awkward with the whole camera shaking and everything like that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it. Sorry. Maybe I should get a. If I had my phone, I could show puppy videos or something like that on the phone and just put it in the camera. I'm rambling now. Anyways, before I go to sleep, I do want to get around to talking about what I wanted to talk about next month in terms of movie books. Now I'm actually kind of. I could have sworn I had something else that I want to talk about regards to movies, but I don't know. I don't know where it is. Oh wow, that is fantastic. That felt so great to crack my back like that. I can do it better than anybody I know, cracking backs, which I like to do quite a bit. Anyways, the book I wanted to talk about next month, whenever we do this again, maybe 3 weeks a month or something like that, is The Man Who Heard Voices, or How M. Night Shyamalan Risked His Career on a Fairy Tale. M. Night Shyamalan has become kind of a laughingstock, obviously, the last couple of years. With Lady in the Water was a terrible movie. Avatar was terrible as well. Or The Last Bender, The Last Airbender, I guess they called it. I always think of it as Avatar. But this book came out like 5 years ago, and it doesn't even look like Amazon even has paperback copies of it. But they do have very, very cheap hardback copies of it. Anywhere from like the one I just bought was $4, and it's got 2-day shipping. And there's a lot of other ones that have $4. A bunch of copies for about $4 if you want to buy a hardback copy. Or you can buy a Kindle edition if you want to pay $13. I probably don't recommend it. Excuse me. Tasty. So The Man Who Heard Voices about Shyamalan, and basically the guy who wrote it worked with Shyamalan while he was going through the production process of Lady in the Water. It's a movie I found to be almost unwatchably bad. I know Snyder likes it a lot. Or at least he did. Don't know if he rewatched it, had a harder time than he thought he would rewatching it. But I found that movie to be almost unbearable. And so basically the book is about the process of getting that film made. It was Disney apparently gave up on that film. Like they wanted to make it with him, but they kind of cut him loose. And I think probably because they saw the script and realized it was going to be a bad thing. The book I hear is really interesting because it's supposed to make Shyamalan look like a genius at all times. It's very fawning, I think. Is what I've heard. I've been reading the reviews on Amazon. It's everybody said a self-important egomaniac, that kind of stuff. So I am curious about reading about. I always like reading behind-the-scenes stuff about the films that I like. Not in this case. I don't like this movie at all. But I'm always curious to read books that have a viewpoint and try to discern how to adapt to that viewpoint and maybe think for yourself and realize how things maybe sound different than they actually were in the real world, which is not always easy when you're talking about somebody who's writing a book with the subject of the book and they have to wade through the bullshit that whatever Shyamalan was trying to say. I am, and I'm really curious how it turns out. I don't know if the book is. I don't know if the book is good. I've heard it's not, but I still think it'd be curious to talk about it and maybe have a discussion about that, and maybe we can parlay it out into a discussion of Lady in the Water as well. I don't exactly know how I'm going to make it happen yet in terms of a book club thing. Probably what we'll do is you can buy the book, you can get it from the library, do whatever you need to. And I wouldn't talk about it in the comments of this video yet. I would wait until next month's video, where I will probably I'll have read the book by then, obviously, and I'll have my own thoughts on it, and we'll do another video maybe. Maybe I'll get Dave in here. I know Dave is not here, but I know Dave has read it as well, and he thought it was interesting. So maybe we'll have a little discussion with he and I. It might even be a podcast thing. I don't know. We might just have to sit down and have a discussion about it, and just record that and put it up as a members-only podcast. You don't need to see our ugly mugs talking about the book for forever. What was I going to say? 3:15 in the morning. So that's probably how we'll do it. We'll get the book, read it. If you've already read it, feel free to talk about it. But we'll try to have the next month of just reading time. And then next month we'll put up a video or a podcast. We'll have a discussion about the book. Either it's me talking like this, or it'll be me and Dave or somebody else. And then at the end of that podcast, however, or video, whatever it is, we'll assign a new book. And if you guys have suggestions for books, feel free to leave those in the comments below. Preferably keep them movie related at this point. I think I do want to try to keep to movie related books. I've also really wanted to read some of the... Gosh. I've been thinking about reading more by David Mamet. I've been curious about this book called... What did he write? I don't know. I can't find the book that he put out on directing film. I think is what it's called, by David Mamet. So I'm kind of curious about that one as well. That's 91 though. That's a bit. He had some good movies by then, but he's made a lot more since then. So I'm not sure if he's updated it or if that is even available. Let me check and see if it is or not. Anyways, I don't want to do that one round. I was just talking about stuff that I might want to do in the future. I don't see it at all on Amazon, so maybe it's out of print. Anyway. The book is called The Man Who Heard Voices, or How M. Night Shyamalan Risked His Career on a Fairy Tale by Michael Bamberger. So look that up and find it in your local library. Find it somehow, read it, and come back in a month or so, and we'll have a little talk about it. I hope that sounds good, because I'm going to talk about this one a bit. I don't really have anything else to talk about tonight. I'm looking around for anything I could talk about, but I'm not really seeing too much. Yeah, I guess that's it. So for now, we'll leave any suggestions for books you want to talk about in the future in these comments below. Get the M. Night Shyamalan book and read that, and come back in a little while, maybe in the middle of December or so, and we'll talk about this book and how apparently ludicrous it is. Yeah, that's about all I got. So I will end this now, and I will send it over to Joey and let him do his magic on my voice, which you probably can't even hear because I mumble so much. But I'll see you guys soon.